All right. So, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Connected Conversations. I am Martina Mazdrova. I'm your host, and I'm here to serve you to create connection in your life, whether it is a piece of information, whether it is a person who you get to have in your life for your next breakthrough, or whether it is to hear something for the 100th times that you've already heard, but it's going to sink in today because you are ready to hear it. And I'm so excited to welcome Miko Lau with me today, who is a sex, love, and relationship coach dedicated to supporting women across the globe to reclaim their sexy and become the most powerful, magnetic, and sexy version of themselves. So, Miko, thank you so much for joining me today for this conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Martina, for having me. And I think it's beautiful what you're putting together. I think especially now, people really desire that connections more than ever. So I'm really excited to be here.
Me too. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Miko. And I would just really love to start with your story and how did you become sex love relationship coach? I know you've been on this incredible journey. That's why I really desired to have this conversation with you. But yes, share it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So, where do I begin with that story? I would say for most of my life, I've been uber ambitious, like uber driven, and constantly striving for success. And I did all of that for the majority of my life up until a couple years ago. I would say, well, less than a couple years ago. I did everything. I went to UC Berkeley, got really amazing grades, and then was on my path to doing the traditional corporate ladder kind of path. And then eventually I discover like there's more to that. There's more than the 9 to 5 work till I retire kind of traditional path. And then I started doing entrepreneurship and really getting to know myself and doing a deep dive into personal development journey. And even then, I was still very intellectual. I was reading the books, I was listening to a podcast, I was going to seminars, and I was pretty much living from here and up, living in my head. And I was totally disconnected from my body, my sensations, my emotions. Even though I'm very emotional, I didn't know how to contain my emotions. I didn't know a great way to express myself. And usually it doesn't end up well when I do express my emotions. And the more I deep dive into this journey, the more I discover that the ultimate foundation that was lacking was my connection to my sexuality, my connection to my body, my connection to having an intimate relationship with myself. That was missing. And because that was a wobbly foundation, what happened was lack of self-worth, low confidence, lack of self-love, and all of these things are just manifestations of having this wobbly foundation of not being connected to myself in that way. So the more I deep dive into myself in that journey, in that direction, the more I see a common thread in other women that I have coached, even in like transformational coaching, leadership coaching. I discover like that is a common theme. Most women are so conditioned to be living from here and up. We're so intellectual. We're like highly successful in that intellect way, but then we have no connection to ourselves. It's the essence of our life force. It's that radiance, that aliveness is missing for so many women. And when that's missing, there's that inherent sense of lack of wholeness. And when that lack of wholeness is there, then we depend on other things like external success or even a partner or relationship for a sense of value or a sense of worthiness. So that really just ignited this passion for me to work with other women because it's been my own journey.
Yeah. No, I love that. What a powerful story, Miko. I mean, you've shared so much like yummy, yummy stuff that we get to explore. And so when you talk, well, you said about self-love, right? Because the self-love is the umbrella in a way. What does self-love mean to you?
Hmm. It has really evolved over the years. At the beginning, it was definitely like only think positive, focus on what's great, the positive affirmations. But where I'm at today, it's really about learning to hold myself and love myself in all pieces and parts of me, including the shame, including the people pleaser in me, including the victim in me. Like all of these bits and pieces are a part of myself, and really learning to integrate and bring them back home into wholeness. That to me is self-love, understanding like how to meet myself when I'm having like the shittiest day or feeling like the worst ever. Like how do I hold myself and meet myself with so much love and acceptance in that moment, even when I'm not feeling the greatest. That
Yeah.
to me is self-love.
Yeah, I love that. I feel very, very similar, because it's all this positive, the positive talk, the kind of I kind of looking as a toxic positivity, right? Because it's all
Mhm.
great, and this is the same looking at relationship, looking at life, right? It's so great to be, oh, this works, this is great. But we don't want to look, well, this doesn't quite work, and we don't quite know what to do with this. And this is the
Mhm.
same with us, right? This is what I've experienced personally as well. Yeah, holding that space and looking at the mirror and just being okay, this is here, and what do I do with this? So
Mhm.
I really love what you said about feeling whole and creating this wholeness really within you. So you or we don't go and search outside of us what we're missing. And I am on board with you, but what I'm also experiencing as I'm having different conversations with women is this, like, well, how do I create it? Is it like,
Mhm.
is it my fault that maybe they don't give me what I need, and then everyone tells me, well, you get to create it yourself? Like, how do you go about this, or how do you feel about this? What could you say to women who are maybe told, well, it starts with you, you get to create within yourself,
Yeah.
but yet I feel it's such an abstract concept of like, how do I
Totally.
do that?
Yeah, no, I totally hear you on that. It is such an abstract,
Hmm.
intangible kind of idea. Like,
Yeah.
what does that mean? Like, how do I create a sense of wholeness inside of me? And the first step I would really just say is about building an intimate relationship with yourself and the body. Because the body contains so much information, contains so much wisdom and information about like certain parts of ourselves that maybe we have rejected, that we have pushed away, or that we have
Hmm.
hidden away in the dark, that we don't want to look at or feel, like shame or fear or self-doubt. Any of these things live inside the body, as well as emotions and sensations that just tell us so much about what parts of us have been disconnected. So the first step is really building that relationship with ourselves and the body, and then understanding, like, really naming certain sensations that come up. For example, feeling tightness in your tummy, or feeling tension in your shoulder, and then really allowing space for you to meet what this sensation is really telling you.
Yeah.
What does it need? Why is it showing up? Why is this
Hmm.
energy here? And then just giving it a voice, allowing it to be named. Because what happens is, we are basically integrating our left brain, which is all about the intellect, the analytical, the logical side of us, with the emotional and the primal parts of ourselves from the right brain. We're integrating these two brains together so that we create a sense of cohesive wholeness. So
Hmm.
it involves like science and neurobiology and physiology and all of these things that we don't need to go into, but essentially just by naming, using words to name our sensations and our emotions, that's actually creating a sense of wholeness. You're integrating these pieces that may have been disconnected by you not willing to feel it or willing to even look at it. And most of us do that by staying up here. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so powerful. I love that. And it is, right? When we connect, the more we connect with ourselves, the more we connect with our body, we can just sense it. I mean, right? I feel it in me, even like the yes, no. Is it sacred yes, or is it yes, even though I really want to say no? I can feel it. It's in my shoulders, it's in my left hip usually. I can feel contraction or expansion, but it's a muscle, right? To be trained. So with that, like, where where do you go? Where do you go next? Because I know for me on this journey, and see if this is gonna resonate with you as well. And I see that again all over the place with this. We don't feel right. We don't have this intimate relationship with ourselves to create this space, and we create all of these avoidance strategies. What else? What can I do not to feel the discomfort? Right. So where would you go from here? What if the lady's like, I know I get to go there, but I'm just afraid. I'm
Mhm.
afraid what's there. I'm afraid, can I handle it? Who am I gonna be without it? Am I gonna lose myself if I shift?
Yeah, that is such a valid question. And I'm honoring every woman that may be tuning in right now or listening to this later. Like, I honor your experience of feeling afraid 100%. Like, that is so valid. And that's why there's always a reason why we choose to live from here and up, living ahead constantly and staying busy, constantly working so that we don't have to feel what's in the body. That's usually because we don't feel safe inside of our body to do so. So I would say the number one step is creating internal safety. So whatever that looks like for you or means to you, really
Yeah.
taking some time to investigate, to get curious, like what will create a sense of inner safety for myself? How can I create an inner sanctuary of safety, letting that nervous system know, like, hey, it's okay to relax. It's okay
Yeah.
to slow down. It's okay to just take a breath and not be so much like spinning in that head, constantly thinking about what's next, what do I do next, like constantly in that problem solving mode. It's okay to slow down. So the first step is really letting the body and the nervous system to register that it is safe. So it could really be, it could mean anything. Like for me, it could be something as simple as like orienting myself by touching my skin, really like noticing that I'm here right now, really orienting, what am I seeing, what am I hearing, what am I smelling, what am I touching, really tuning in that five senses, grounding myself, knowing that I am here and now and I am safe. And just taking a couple of slow, deep breaths here and just really allowing that nervous system to slow down and to
Mm.
start to feel into these sensations that we're not aware of because we're constantly so busy doing things.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
love that. I love that. And with that, we call this series like Reclaim Your Sexy, right? What does that mean to you? Reclaim your
Mhm.
sexy. That's your job, right? That's what you do
Yes.
for women, to reclaim your sexy. So
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, I think that the first step really the woman gets to define what sexy means to her because we live in a society that is so patriarchal, like
mm,
defining what sexy means. It's usually objectifying women for the pleasure of men or for the pleasure of other people. So first of all, you get to define what sexy means to you. Like really own it, really claim that, really decide like I get to do this because I deserve this. I deserve to feel sexy. Like, and this is what from just my own discovery from working with so many women.
mm,
Like, I know deep down, at least every woman that I've came into contact with, every woman deep down have a desire to feel sexy, to be sexy, because ultimately sexual energy is just life force. It is this
mm,
potent energy that creates something from the non-physical into the physical. It is that birthing energy. So when we are connected to our sexy, connected to our sexual energy, that means it's a sense of aliveness. There is this like radiance. It's almost like, think of a lamp. A woman that's not connected to her sexual energy, her lamp is turned off. But a woman that's connected, her light is turned on. She's radiant. She has this aliveness that just oozes out of her. And obviously, all women want that. We
yeah.
desire to be this like vital, vibrant, radiant version of ourselves. So reclaiming your sexy really just means that, like reclaiming what makes you feel alive, what gives you this sense of radiance from the inside out.
Mm, love that. I love that. And totally right. It does just looks different for every single woman, and there is so much conditioning right? And how should women should be and how they should dress, and if they dress a certain way, they are too much or they're giving consent and all of this. So it's even for women to step into their power, right? If I go into their power to, oh, this is what it means, this is what I want, and maybe at the start it doesn't need to be connected with sex on its own, which often I think we connect with it right away, but it can be evolution because maybe women can be very disconnected in this sense. So let's talk more about sexual energy as such. I mean, you've covered quite lots of space right now, but how can we, why is it so important to connect and be connected and
Mm-hmm.
live from our sexual energy, and where, how do we connect it
Mm-hmm.
apart from sex? If I put it this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say a disclaimer for every woman like listening. Really, just you gotta mentally, physically, like every different level, be prepared for the journey that you're about to get on. If you really decide to devote yourself in this work, because like you mentioned earlier, there's so many layers of conditionings that have been ingrained in us about what it even means to be a woman, what it means to be a sexy woman. So the moment you declare like, hey, I'm going to reclaim my sexy, I'm going to redefine what that means to me, and I'm going to connect to my sexual energy. Get ready for all of this like shit coming up in
Oh
you.
my goodness, yes.
And it is a painful, I'm just going to say it, it can be a very, very painful journey because I've been there. I mean, in so many ways, I'm still doing that deep shadow trauma work. Really allowing yourself, the more you deep dive into your body, the more you're going to discover like, oh, there's this like huge anger or like disgust that I have towards men or the energy of men,
Mm,
right? Like you're gonna be on this journey of really feeling through, purging and integrating and bringing these pieces back into love, into acceptance. So just a disclaimer that
yeah,
that journey doesn't always look like beautiful rainbow sunshine and
yeah.
exciting.
Bath bubbles all
Yeah.
the time.
But here's what I'm going to say about why I'm so in love with this work is because what I do is about coaching women on creating pleasure as a baseline so that you can always meet whatever that comes up with this pleasurable foundation, right? Even if you're going through the deepest darkest pain, how can you still find pleasure in that? How can you have
Mm,
there's a thing called angergasm. How can you have an orgasmic experience while you're feeling the most deepest anger? So that's really the key, learning how to come back home to experiencing pleasure. And pleasure doesn't always have to be sexual. It could be something as small as tasting a delicious cup of coffee and really
mm,
slowing down and savoring every bit of it, really honing into what you're tasting, allowing yourself to bask in that experience. That's pleasure. But really, every step along the way, the more you say yes to pleasure, say yes to your sexual energy, it is going to be met with all of these things that may be holding you back or that's preventing you from experiencing it in the first place.
mm.
So I just want to just say that. So going back, did I answer your question? I don't remember the question.
No, we talked pretty much about this, and yeah, what does that like? Why is it so important to connect
Mhm.
with the sexual energy specifically? And you kind of touched it base, like when we connecting with the sexual energy, is it directly through sex?
Mhm. Well, here's what I'm gonna say about why it's so important. It's like it's that extra flavor in life, in your experiences. Like when that's not there, it's that sense of dullness, like that sense of kind
Mm,
of, everything is kind of black and white or gray. But like when you have this sexual energy, like this aliveness, there's that sense of like playfulness,
mm,
lightheartedness, like almost like a whimsical kind of feeling that comes with every experience you have. You can be stuck in traffic driving a car, or you can be walking down the street doing something so normal, day to day activities. But when you are have this sense of aliveness in you. You just, everything is more colorful, everything is more like fun and exciting.
Yeah.
It's something that I would say like you have to really experience. But we all had that experience when we were younger, right? When we were a little kid,
Mm.
we lived with so much joy, so much happiness. And I would say like connecting to your sexual energy will be the portal for you to access that once again.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that because, and I, you know what, Miko, I just really want to acknowledge you for having this conversation because these tends to be the taboos, right? It tends to be, we don't tend to talk about these stuff. So I just really want to thank you for talking so vulnerably and openly about it and your journey. And hopefully it sparks something in our women in our world to explore this deeper. Because I know like what has been so fascinating as I embarked this journey on connecting with my sexual energy and going deeper and feeling all the feels, right? What was like fascinating for me was that really how we do one thing, we do everything. And whatever conversation I was having with myself, let's say around sex or pleasure, whether if I had some blocks or something that I was holding back in some areas, it showed up in every single area of my life.
Yeah.
So it was such a like vulnerable and intimate, like another viewpoint. Because maybe like here I am speaking up, here I am doing this, but then it doesn't trust it. That was like so fascinating through me doing healing journey and transformation from this angle
Mm-hmm.
because everything is seen. I feel like when you go there, everything shows up when you allow yourself to see it, when you choose to see it. So that was just really interesting for me.
Yeah, that's a great point. And another analogy that came up to me was as you're saying that. And I mentioned this earlier about how this is the foundation that
Mm.
we build anything out of. When a woman is not connected to her sexual energy, she can be taking all sorts of action, doing the mechanics, but it's almost like you're vacuuming the house, but not plugging in your vacuum. When there's no
Mm.
electricity, you can be doing the motion, you can be, but it's not actually doing anything. So it's the same thing I would say, like when a
Yeah.
woman is disconnected from her life force, she can be taking action, but there's that lacking that fulfillment, that sense of joy, that sense of satisfaction that she can really only generate from inside and out. She can get
Yeah.
temporary like happiness, but that doesn't last. Or she can fill up a void by having like a boyfriend or a partner, but then that's still that there's something missing inside.
Hmm. Yeah. I love that. Oh gosh, I love this conversation, Miko. So, I mean, we're reaching the end soon. I would like, so let's make it a little bit more tangible. So, you've shared a place to start for women is just to really slow down, right? And
Mhm.
connect and come back to their body through different ways it can work. You suggested, right, to touching your body and focusing your senses on what you're seeing, smelling. Just come back and giving yourself the space, the safe space, right? Creating the safe
Mhm.
space
Mhm.
to actually connect with what am I experiencing right now. So that can be a starting point. What else would you suggest? Maybe women are interested. Okay, I feel like I am ready
Mhm.
to go there and go into transformation because this is a transformation right from this point of view. What would you suggest? Where would you guide women?
Yeah, I would say like the first step is even just celebrating all of the women
Yes.
out there that's saying like, yes, I'm ready. I'm so ready to take on this, even the next step to get on this journey. Like I'm celebrating you big time. It takes so much courage to even
Mm.
declare that and to make that choice to move forward. And then the second step, I would say like this is also something I'm learning in my own journey. Like a radical act of self love can be something as simple as saying yes to receiving support. Receiving support from, let's say, a coach or a mentor, or even someone outside of you. Like from speaking as someone who's a people pleaser, that's always putting people first, like being able to say yes and allowing others to come in, about an act of receiving, right? Receiving support,
Mm.
receiving the holding of someone, so like a space holder. I think that's a tremendous step forward to saying, like, I deserve this. I may not know how to create safety for myself right now, for me to even drop into my body. So I'm going to say, yes, I get to receive support. So find someone that you feel absolutely safe with. It could be anyone, it could be a coach that you really resonate with, it could be a friend. I would say go for professionals, right? Just because they're trained in creating a safe space for you to really connect your body. And that's when almost like you get to shine a light on what's been in the darkness for so long. That's when
Mm.
you can really feel that you're able to drop in and integrating the shame that you have maybe around embracing your sexy self, or anything
Yeah.
that's in the body right now that's in the dark. You really get to be in this safe space as you're learning how to create that for yourself, really being a guest to receiving that from others. I would say it's
Mm.
important.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. And especially as you said about people pleaser, just like me, recovering people pleaser. And something that created a huge shift for me, because I would just love, right, to love on people, support the other people, and be in generosity with other people. And then one of my coaches said, well, it's generous to receive and there gets to
Mhm.
be flow. And that created a shift for me, that like, oh, this is a thing. I
Yeah.
get to receive it too. And it's generous because I love to be generous with others.
Mhm.
So, ah, thank you, Miko, for all of your wisdom and all of your openness and vulnerability. And I would love for you to share, for those women who resonate with you, how they can keep the relationship with you, where they can learn from you more, and
Mhm.
where they can find you.
Yeah, so actually, right now, for a very limited time, I am actually open up my calendar for practice clients, meaning that you get to receive free coaching from me for a very limited duration of time. So if anyone is interested, I'm not sure, Martina, do you have like links to my Facebook or
Yeah, we will drop them
anything?
in the comments, so it's maybe
Yeah.
simple, straightforward.
Okay, awesome. I mean, you can easily find me. I'm super like interactive on social media. Like you can find me, send me a friend request, and send me a message, and I'll personally connect with you and really show you the next steps on how you can get on one of the spots with me. And basically, it's like what I mentioned earlier: is I get to hold that safe space for you to really deep dive into yourself and melting through any blockages or
Mm,
resistance that may be holding you back to reclaim your sexy.
I love that.
Mhm.
Brilliant. And very last thing, is there anything that we haven't talked about? Is there any last message? Something maybe you want to
Mhm.
reiterate? Anything that's on your heart?
Yeah, what's keep coming up right now for some reason, it's like I really just want to remind every woman out there that you deserve exquisite self-care, whatever that looks like, or feel like. I feel like all of us have been like on this tremendous long period of time of just pushing and striving and grinding and making things happen. I just feel like there's a huge yearning in all of the bodies of every
Mm,
woman out there that's just desiring and crying for exquisite self-care. And I don't know what that looks like for
mm,
you. It could be
yeah.
a long nap, it could be a delicious bubble bath, but really setting that intention and saying that my body deserves that, and just giving your body
Yeah.
that
Mm.
exquisite luxurious self-care.
Yes, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. So, Miko, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, for your wisdom, for your openness. Thank you for your heart. I'm honored to have this conversation with you, and I wish you all the best. And yes, all the links will be in the comments. So, whoever is resonating with you, they get to connect with you and explore what it gets to look like.
Thank
So,
you,
thank
Martina.
you.
Mhm.